Hello internet friends, bridge officers are one of the coolest things in Star Trek Online, but whether you're new or returning to the game, their skills can be confusing. It's one of those things I have to retrain myself every time I come back. So I'm going to do a quick video on bridge officer skills and talk you through how they work. So each bridge officer has a number of skills already trained, but you won't have access to them all straight away. Pori, for instance, let's look at Tarsi. This is the person here. You can see that her skills and all your bridge officer skills are split between ground and space, and when you first get them, as you're going through your training, the first 10 levels, you'll have access to this space skill, the first one of the 4, and this ground ability. That's all you'll have. Then once you get to Lieutenant, the skills that she already has trained here will unlock. So then for all your ground missions, she'll be using Photon Grenade and Sweeping Strikes, and in space as well. Not only will she have high yield, she'll then have Beams Overload. So the initial confusion, I think, is a lot to do with the fact that you can see all these skills but you can't access them until you get to the appropriate levels. So this is Ensign, then Lieutenant Commander, and then Commander. There is an additional source of confusion, however, because what skills you can use is not only dependent on the level of the characters in space, it's also dependent on what ship control stations you have available. Let me go into space and show you. So this is my ship here, a science ship. I'm only lieutenant level at this stage, but it does mean that I've got 2 skills unlocked, so I can talk you through this stuff. But a science ship has more science stations. So as you can see here, I have all my guys plugged in, but it has 2 science stations. These are the blue ones, and the first science station has 2 slots for skills. So let's have a look at T-Met and have a look at her skills. If I put her in that science station slot with 2 skills unlocked, I'll be able to use Tractor Beam, that's what she's got as her first skill, and Science Team. So as long as I put her in that first one there, she'll be able to use those 2 abilities. But these are grayed out, so there's also a limit dependent on the ship of how many of your crew skills you can use. The higher tier ships will have more of these slots unlocked for you to use your skills that you've already learned. Also, if I had an additional science crew member, which I don't have, I could also use their first science ability in this ship. And that's why it's a science ship. It has more advanced crew stations and more stations on a science ship. If this were a tactical ship, I would have more space for my tactical officers, the same with engineering. So just remember the skills that you have available and are unlocked at your level. For space, you're also going to be restricted by the crew stations on your ship. That's not the case for ground. You will unlock these and the character will use them in ground combat as you go up in levels and unlock these various skills. Don't forget, once you put a character into these crew stations, which is as simple as clicking the drop down and clicking on the officer that you want, your skills will turn up in the skills tray, and then you don't drag them from here, you drag them all from your skills tray, and it depends on who's slotted here. You'll have all your skills that are available in the skills tray and just drag them across to your hotbars there. The skills tray is pretty good, it's just confusing. You'd think you'd be able to drag them from here, but you can't. However, the skills tray does lump everything in together, so everything you can use, your own captain skills plus all your officers that you have slotted, will be right here for space. Where the bridge officer system gets really interesting is the choice of skills and how they synergize together. And to do that, you're going to come to the bridge officer skill trainer, which is here on space dock. It's round the back as you go towards the Admiral. I'm right on top of it at the moment, so let me go down there. There's the Admiral that you talk to once you've done your tutorial missions, and the bridge officer skill trainer is right down there. Bridge officer trainer. This is always a little bit overwhelming when you see all the skills that are available to the skill trainer, but it's one of the things that makes it very cool. As standard, you have tactical, engineering, science and command. There are all these advanced classes. I'm not going to go into those too much here, but basically you buy these training manuals and there are different ones at different levels. So we have level 1 everything that's available here. Then up to level 2, these are tactical space skills that I'm looking at here, and so on as you go up in levels. But just because something is called level 2 doesn't always mean it's a level 2 skill, if you see what I mean. So for instance, attack pattern delta, that's called delta 1, but it's actually a level 2 ability. This gets confusing. Let's look at 2 screens at the same time here, see if we can clear this up. Everything that you can possibly get is listed here. This is really convenient. So when you're looking at these huge lists and getting overwhelmed with what's what here, refer to this, have these 2 windows open, and you can go back and forth. So for instance, let's look at his ground skills. The ground skills that he can have, if he can find them in the game somewhere, are all listed here, and here are all the level 2 skills. So as I was saying, Grethor's Chains 1 is actually a level 2 ability. You see what I mean? So the description is not always the most handy. You need to double check here. Is that a level 2 skill or is that a level 1 skill? But your choice of skills here is really important. So for instance, let's go to the science skill. This is one that I always try and kit out in a particular way. And let's focus on ground here. You can see all the skills that the character can have here, but some of them double up. So for instance, I can get medical tricorder at level 1, and I can also get level 2 medical tricorder. And having 2 identical skills has no benefit since they share cooldowns, so they're going to use one or the other. You might as well have the most powerful one. So you can start to see how your choices determine what your character is going to do in combat. Do you want them to be more of a healer, or do you want them to have some interference abilities like cold fusion flash? They can root them and so on. But generally speaking, you want at least one science officer doing medical detail, right? So I've chosen medical tricorder at level 2, and then she came with medical tricorder 1, so I've bought medical tricorder 2, so she's a better healer at this lieutenant level. And then I've changed what she started with, medical tricorder 1, to a Dilovine spray, which cures debuffs and buffs. But I could have changed it to any of these as long as it's here and it's purchasable at level 1. So let me show you what I mean here. We'll come to the science ground skills. We don't have them all available, as you can see. Some skills come with the bridge officer, so always look carefully before you retrain skills, because some bridge officers have rare skills that you don't want to overwrite here. You might want to keep those rare skills. It's up to you. Some are useful, some are not. But I have 4 available from the trainer here at level 1 for science ground. I can't get cold fusion flash. Maybe that comes with a bridge officer, who knows. But if I wanted to change her to at level 1 to use electrogravity field, I would click buy. Hang on, tachyon harmonic is kind of cool. It's an expose attack in addition to what she can do with her blaster, so I've bought that. And then as you can see, now tachyon harmonic is available. I would have to click learn it in the manual. Now she's learnt that for good, and I can always switch to that if I want. If I want to go more offensive, I can do that with this character now. So you can potentially unlock all of these with your characters, but it's just a case of whether you can find them on what you want available. It's exactly the same principle for space. What you want to be having a look at for science space, what's available here. I have more space level 1 abilities available for my science officer. Looks like I can pretty much get an awful lot of those if I wanted to. I've chosen to go tractor beam as her level 1 ability, and then science team is a good shield heal and a regeneration skill in space. But also remember, you're not done. Once you go up in levels, you might want to continue to tinker around. So for instance, let's stick looking at the medic. Level 3, once she goes up to commander, she can get medical tricorder 3. So I might want to keep upping her healing abilities as I go up in levels. And once I get medical tricorder 3 at commander level, I don't need medical tricorder 2, so I'll probably then switch to tachyon harmonic there. as you can see. So each time you go up in levels, I forgot to mention, when you do go up in levels, this button will be ready to be clicked on. Promote. Make sure you promote so you can get access to the skills. You're going to be tinkering around with these skills and making sure they have stuff that complement the other skills that they have, and additionally the other people in your team. So if you have 2 science officers, for instance, you might not want them both to have medical tricorders. You could have one guy who's your healer and one guy who is debuffing the enemy. Also, that tachyon harmonic, we noticed that it is a expose attack. She now does a cone of AoE damage that exposes the enemy. Knowing that, we can go to Tarsi and have a look at some skills that potentially exploit. So let's see if we can find one. Science, tactical ground, sweeping strikes. Is that an expose attack? That's an expose. Draw fire. There we go. So lunge, I could get that with her. Rather than sweeping strikes, which I've got right now, I could get lunge, because I know that my medical guy has an expose and lunge 1 is an exploit. Might be a better choice for them at this stage. So synergizing your skills of the specific character, then synergizing with all of your bridge crew, is one of the keys to combat in Star Trek Online, and it's true of ground and space. I hope that's helpful. It's rather complicated, isn't it? It's one of those things that, as I say, I have to retrain myself every time I get into this game. I do feel like it's a cool system. It's just complicated. If there's anything else like basic stuff that you're struggling to find answers to, ask me those questions as well and I'll try and answer them. I have played this game and taken characters up to the max a few times. You forget that you know what you know about certain games, and some of this is very basic for experienced people in Star Trek Online, but you can offer things for people who are just starting. So that's what I hope this video has done for you. Thank you for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.